Hobbies? Who has time for hobbies? Well, I do. And I don't say that to brag. And it's not because I have all this extra free time floating around in my world. So if you've been wanting to read more, or get your dusty guitar back out of the closet, or get into watercolor painting, or whatever, but you just can't figure out how you could possibly fit it in, well, stay tuned because in today's episode, we're getting into 4 practical strategies to make time for hobbies, even when your life feels so busy, there's not room for anything else. Welcome to the Do More, Stress Less podcast. I'm your host, Alexis Hasselberger, a time management and productivity coach. In every episode, I give you actionable, practical tips to help you learn to use your time in a way that feels good to you every day. No more hustling, scrambling, or struggling to keep your head above water. So let's dive in, and soon enough, you'll be doing more and stressing less. If you're waiting for free time to magically appear so that you can finally crochet or garden or tinker or take a ceramics class, it's probably not going to happen, at least until you're retired. There's always another work email, another pile of laundry, another form to be filled out. But here's the thing, your joy matters. And if your hobbies bring you joy, they deserve space on your calendar as much as, maybe more than, the things like meetings, doctor's appointments, dishes, things that don't bring that same level of joy, to say the least. So how do you actually make time for a hobby in a busy, overscheduled real life? Well, I'm going to share 4 real life strategies to help you do just that. So number 1, add it to your calendar. I promise you that scheduling it will not drain the fun out of it, since you can't just wait for the perfect pocket of time to appear, because it won't. What you can do is when that hobby time happens, to treat it like any other commitment. It's just that this time it's a commitment to yourself. Adding it to your calendar doesn't make you a rigid bore. It just means that you take your commitment to fun seriously. I have pottery on my calendar this afternoon this evening, because 1, I want to make time for that. And 2, that helps everybody else in my family know about it, right? So that they know what to do, when dinner is, all that stuff. Now, number 2, you can routinize it. If your hobby is something that takes you out of the house and you have regular caregiving duties, say, then making it regular can make it easier to get the care covered, right? So that way you're not asking for the time every single week from your partner or whoever you live with. No one feels surprised, right? You can plan around it, meaning there's fewer of those kind of just in time, just this time exceptions. If you're partnered and you're not sure if your partner will be on board, you can suggest a recurring time trade where you get a couple of hours each week for you time, and then they get a couple of hours each week for them time, and nobody gets resentful and everybody gets a break. And you can use that for hobby time or anything else. Now, number 3 is that we want to use different strategies for different hobbies, right? Not all hobbies are created equally, at least not from a logistical perspective. Some hobbies can be done at home with minimal setup, things like knitting, crochet, painting, etc. Some hobbies decidedly cannot take place at home, like rock climbing or group classes of any sort. Once you're clear on what your hobby needs, then you can actually better plan for it. So for instance, when my kids were little, I mostly crocheted and knitted. These were things I could do while sitting next to a kid playing on the floor, right? Now that they're older, I go to the pottery studio with regularity. It's on my calendar. Back to strategy number 1, right? But different hobbies require different things, and different hobbies are possible at different times in your life, right? So maybe it's harder to make time for something at this stage in your life where you have to leave the house. Maybe you could lean in on some other hobbies or some other interests that are easier for you to do when you're home. But think about, what does this hobby require, and can I fit it into my life? And then number 4, you can use forcing functions. So if you're struggling to follow through on something, you can try a forcing function. So this is something like signing up for a class. If you sign up for a class, especially if you've paid for it, you are a lot likelier to go to that class. Also, if you sign up for a class at like 6 p.m. on a Tuesday, this is a really good reason for you to wrap up that work so you can get to that class. You could join a group of some sort, right? Maybe you want to get back into playing an instrument, join a band, right? Form a band, get some neighbors together. I know that, a friend of ours, someone that my husband works with, he actually formed a band with other parents of his kindergarten class. So his kid was in kindergarten and somehow they got talking about how they wanted to do music again. And now they just formed a band of parents, right? It doesn't have to be something that is huge. It's just something that you could do. Or you can just do something with a friend, right? If you are going to meet a friend, especially if you're somebody where outside accountability really helps, and your friend is waiting for you there, you're going to show up. Essentially, you want to make it hard to bail, since you'll be out the money or you'll be letting someone down if you do. Now, I know you want more joy in your life. Who doesn't? So don't fool yourself into believing that you don't have to prioritize it to make it happen. That's the key here. We're not just going to find random bits of time. If we want to make time for the things that bring us joy, like our hobbies, then you can use one of these strategies or maybe all of these strategies to actually make it happen and to prioritize it. And that's a wrap on today's episode of the Do More, Stress Less podcast. If today's episode resonated with you, make sure to subscribe now so that you can save yourself time in the future and never miss an episode. It'll take 5 seconds to hit subscribe, and the payoff will be big. You'll never have to think about it again. And pro tip, you'll be using the decide once strategy and saving yourself from the fate of decision fatigue. Do yourself this quick kindness, and I'll see you next time.